Okay, so as we continue to move forward, what do some cells have in common? What do cells have in common? They have a nucleus. They have a cytoplasm. They have a plasma membrane. So, what might the function of the cytoplasm be? It houses all of the what? The little organs or organelles, not organs. Be all the little tiny organelles that you would see. We'll talk about some of them today. And one of them, the nucleus, what's the function of that nucleus? The DNA is found in the nucleus, and what does that DNA do? What does it do with all cellular activity? We're not quite communicating here, I'm afraid. So as we look at that, okay. So the nucleus contains and directs the cellular activities, cell's activity in the form of DNA. Okay, we talked about that. The plasma membrane, okay, acts as a barrier. Here's your cytoplasm. Okay, one of the things we started probably the last 2 days before this discussing what do these cells all have in common. Well, it's at that time important to take that opportunity and listen. What are we saying in the class? Okay. So as we continue to move forward, okay. Now there are two classifications of these types of cells. Some have nuclei, most have nuclei, some of them do not. Okay. One of them are what we call erythrocytes. We'll discuss that here in just a moment. So I know, right, that you had said this before. What might be one of these that you find inside the cell? Certainly count. Mitochondria. That's right. Oh. Quite sure. But does anyone think they know what might the mitochondria do for us? Close. What about energy? Well, it's not that it stores, it's how we burn energy. Okay? So cells that have more mitochondria then require more energy to carry out their function. So you ever heard of fast twitch muscles and slow twitch as well? Basically, one way to look at it, you have an organ that works really, really hard, like your liver, like your kidneys, both of those work pretty hard. And with that, the energy that is needed, okay, means there's lots of mitochondria in there, okay? So that would be an example we're going to see here right shortly, because we all burn this energy at different rates, okay? Nobody here would have the same metabolism as somebody else, okay? What that means, it's just luck of the draw. You play with the cards you're dealt. That's one of the aspects that I observed. Someone that told me, and I think it makes perfect sense. Not always going to be the best band player, the best athlete. Those who maybe work harder could also be more successful. Yeah, just play with the cards you're dealt. Okay, so with that, so what might an example of an organ be? What do you think? Lungs. Lungs are an organ, that's right. Skin is an organ. And when you look at the very basic definition of an organ, if it has its own blood supply, that would be a good indication. Your teeth. Are they organs? Yes. They are, because they have their own blood supply. Bones, your femur, your radius, your ulna, are they organs? Yes. Yes, they are. Because all of them organs together, then, as you can see, makes up an organ system. You have 206 or 213 of these together comprise and make up a what? A skeletal system. Okay? And with that, when you put two organs together, you get an organ system. You might say, well, when we talk about multiple bones, they're both organs, you put them together, you get your organ system. What is a You have a circulatory system, which means that would comprise what? Yeah, blood. What else with the blood? Your circulatory system. How does the blood get around? Yeah, your heart pumps it around. Okay? So within that blood, it's hard to visualize, but it is a connective tissue. Okay? Ligaments, tendons, those are also types of connective tissue. Okay? But why do you think blood can be a connective tissue? How do you suppose substances get from point A to point B? Yeah, throughout your blood. That's right. And red blood cells, we said we'd be talking about that in just a moment. Erythrocytes are perfectly spherical in shape, because your arteries, your veins are also spherical in shape. So it's a very efficient design for that to move through your circulatory system. Okay, so if you take your circulation and your lungs, does anyone know a different name for your respiratory system? Anyone in here a lifeguard? What do you have to know? CPR. Okay. C stands for cardio. What's the P stand for? Pulmonary. Okay. It's your cardiopulmonary resuscitation that you are responsible for. One of the things that you have to be aware of, if someone is having a heart attack, but they are still conscious, don't really want to. There's different factors. If they're still breathing, probably don't want to be administered chest compressions. Now, I'm not a doctor, but there's different things that you can do in different situations. You got that AED out there. One of the things that will not hurt a person. Okay? You can hook it up, and it will administer the shock if they need it. Okay? So substances like oxygen, your blood gases, your different types of hormones that need to travel throughout the blood. What do hormones do? Well, they control and regulate the metabolism as well. So that needs to be circulated throughout the body. Okay? So you put the heart and the lungs together, and you have a cardiopulmonary system, or the heart and the arteries and veins, you have a cardiovascular system. Okay, so with that, we're talking about dieting. Everyone has a different type of metabolism. And when we're talking about digestion in that of anatomy and physiology, okay, should some people take in extra amounts of alcohol, okay, what typically happens, do you think? Alcohol is toxic to the human body. So what might your liver do to detoxify that substance? It takes that alcohol and converts it to what do you think? Starts with S. That's sweet. Sugar. It will convert that alcohol to sugar. The problem with that is sugar is very easily absorbed into your blood, or into your cells. Okay? And we're going to see an example of that as well. Also, different types of, we do need fats in our diet. Butter is a good example of that. That's very easily absorbed into our system as well. There's nothing wrong with taking these into your diet, because you do need those different types of nutrients. Okay? But burning them off is also good for you too. So let's go ahead and move forward to that. George is his name. And let's see about old George. We'll continue with this tomorrow. You go to Mr. Deitch's room tomorrow. I have an assignment for you.
His stomach is a refinery, separating the raw materials from his lunch and passing them into his gut. There is one form of fuel the body craves above all others. A fuel which is absorbed into its blood in vast quantities. Molecules of fat. Fat is a multi-purpose molecule. Most of it is absorbed by cells. Inside, it is drawn toward structures called mitochondria, the power generators of the body. Here, the fat is burned, releasing the energy that drives life. But what George's body really wants is a surplus of fat. So much that even non-fatty foods, such as carbohydrates from potatoes and pasta, or proteins from meat, will be turned into fat if eaten to excess.
All right, now this is the cream brulee. Ah, that's mine. And the cheese balls? You just slimy, George. I thought the rain would keep me company on the cheese balls.
And George is eating to excess. His blood is awash with more fat than his mitochondria can burn.
Sorry, but I'm planning to go to the gym tonight. Gym? Take that.
I'm beginning to go right off you. Tell you what, I'll walk back to the office.
And then I was about to go there.
Oh, the second good.
Yeah, you're good. Hey, what's it like?
Hope so.
The real value of fat is that it is the only form of energy George's body can store in vast quantities. Specialized cells absorb fat out of the blood and swell, and as long as there is an excess, they will keep growing. Our craving for fat began in our distant past. Fat stores were good news for our ancestors. They never knew where their next meal was coming from. But George knows exactly when his next meal is coming. It's rarely more than a few hours away. His fat stores never get depleted. They just grow.
George, man, look yourself. Hold your horses. Horses are great. I need to groom. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. In fact, I'll wait there when we left. George, come on. Oh, that's... So my girl, I never even said she was coming. So, man.
On average, men have 30% less body fat than women. But women are better designed to carry it. They store it mainly on their breasts and hips, giving them vital energy reserves to see them through the rigors of pregnancy. George's growing gut is not just the result of overeating. Shaking his hips once every 2 weeks is the only exercise he gets, which has little impact on his expanding waistline.
Right. I'm going to get some change. I'm going to see George for a cane.
I think you drove on, man. I'm serious. I better go and exercise some charm then.
Well, I think like him. He's a really nice guy, but he's just a bit so overwhelming.
Hey, look, calm down. Give it, later, come back.
Going on a diet is like volunteering for famine. And George's body is not going to surrender its fat stores without a battle. Body Story is brought to you in part by Claritin. It's a beautiful day. Talk to your doctor about it. Own brand.
Friday afternoon.
It has been programmed by years of habit to recognize that 1 o'clock is lunchtime.
All right, then. Okay, fine.
The right cue sets off a chain reaction of signals that trigger a growing sensation of hunger. Hunger takes hold of George's body. His stomach starts to squeeze what's left of breakfast out of the way to make space for lunch.
Hey, George. Got some lovely bread, some avocado ciabatta, and a lovely muffin tonight.
No, thanks. Just thank you.
As soon as George looks at his food, his brain starts to calculate how filling it's likely to be. It wants more than just a meal. It wants a satisfying meal. The walls of his stomach contain stretch receptors which estimate the volume of food coming in, confirming the meagerness of this meal. George has failed to satisfy his hunger. His body faces an unprecedented situation. He hasn't eaten enough to keep it going. George needs extra fuel. But it's not his fat stores his body turns to. Inside his liver, another kind of fuel is stored. Emergency short-term reserves of glucose. Glucose molecules are energy boosters. They are released fast and quickly burnt in mitochondria. But they only produce half the energy of fat. George's body would normally refill glucose stores after every meal. But George has eaten so little in the past 4 days that his glucose stores are running out.
I think you've got it all wrong about this girl. Can't play basketball. That's a bit of a rate.
No thanks. You give me a donut and a cup of coffee, I'll show you how to dunk.
Using up these stores will have a deceptive effect on his weight loss. When glucose is stored, large amounts of water are locked up with it. As the glucose is released, so is that water. George is urinating an extra 2 pints a day, and that's a lot of weight. In only 4 days, George has lost 7 pounds. But almost all of it is glucose and water. George may think his diet is going well.
Hi, Lorraine. It's me.
But his body fat stores are still intact.
I've got a lot of work to do for the next couple of weeks, but maybe we can get together and dance and cha-cha.
His glucose stores, on the other hand, have almost run dry. And when they do, the battle with his body will really begin. Body Story is brought to you with fun.
I think we'll get more advantage from a positive attitude, so let's not think of it in terms of a hostility. Yes, the paragraph of the lady.
George has managed to resist his hunger drives for a week.
There's wine for it.
No, I've finished anything fattening for my life. I mean, do you know how many calories are in those things?
Please do start.
I think Pearson is underdoing.
Look, say you're the cheese and Pearson Sons of the Garden.
His glucose stores are at an all-time low. To his body, this can mean only one thing: famine. There's no choice but to surrender the precious fat reserves back into the bloodstream. But there's a price to pay. George's fat cells send a warning signal to his brain, which drives his hunger to new extremes. All thoughts are overwhelmed by the aching desire for food.
Are you going to eat that or just play with it for him?
George's hunger drives are interfering with his ability to concentrate on the simplest of tasks.
You mind if we do this tomorrow? Fine. We'll do it today. I don't know why, but Lorraine Harper speaks very highly of me. Do you know Lorraine? Through Henry. Henry? Henry Pierce? Her boyfriend?
These are bad times for George's body. His fat stores are being drained, and they need to last as long as possible.
You look terrible. How much have you lost? Everything.
His body imposes a drastic energy cut. The mitochondria inside his cells start to burn less and less fuel. George is slowing down.
You're becoming a very sad man, my friend. Why are you beating yourself up about this? She doesn't like fat men. Correction. She doesn't like one particular fat man. Yeah, you're wrong. That girl wants the thinner me, the inner me, the man within, the man that's thin.
George may be shedding fat, but when it comes to shedding the pounds, he's in for a shock. Fat is much lighter than glucose in water, so he's hardly lost any more weight. To lose 7 pounds of fat would take George another month. George's willpower breaks. He can no longer hold back his hunger drives.
Extra cheese, an extra pepperoni. No, a double pepperoni. Oh, you still do the second one half price. That's one of those as well.
Every mouthful brings George pure pleasure, a reward for answering his body's cry for energy. Like most diets, George's full frontal assault on his fat stores has failed.
What does it say? It's over.
But there is another way to lose fat.
Oh. Where was the gym? You took it to me.
When it comes to losing weight, there's no such thing as a free lunch. After years of neglect, George's muscles aren't prepared for what's about to happen. The blood supply to his muscle fibers has withered with disuse, so very little fat can be delivered to them. Inside every muscle cell are emergency fast-burning glucose stores. But these are just a short-term fix. As energy demands soar, George's muscles need to generate 50 times more energy than normal. His mitochondria have a hope. The task is simply overwhelming. George may feel like a sudden bout of exercise has done him more harm than good.
What is it done? Search me. I would if I could catch you.
But as he rests, an astounding metamorphosis begins. Throughout George's muscle fiber, new blood vessels are growing, increasing supplies of energy-rich fat. And deep within the muscle cells, his mitochondria start to divide, doubling the energy they can generate.
By the underwriting of spiritual self,
Exercise is transforming George's body to burn more fat. And as his fuel demands rise, his fat stores release their supplies. But because George isn't starving himself, this release of fat does not shock his body into thinking famine has arrived. And his hunger drives are kept at bay. It's a virtuous circle. The more George works out, the more efficient his muscles get. And the more fat they burn, the more energy he has. After 8 weeks of vigorous exercise, they have become fat-burning machines. More fat is being delivered, and there are now many more mitochondria to burn it.
George Fraser for Lorraine. George, hi. Lorraine sends her apologies. She's asked me to look after you while she's away. Henry Pierce.
Told you were wrong about her. You know, you could do much better than Lorraine. You haven't lost any fat from around your ego.
George's fat stores aren't just shrinking. They're moving to where they are most needed. To ensure a constant supply of instant energy, muscle cells have begun to stockpile their own mini reserves of fat.
I tell you what, every single nurse girl, be quiet. You were losing a bit of weight. Be in the company.
These changes to George's body aren't permanent. As quickly as they have come, they can go. Fat is always just a few mouthfuls away.
One of the aspects that you noticed during that video, after George here learns, oh no, he's got a boyfriend. So he walks in the apartment, what have he lost? What does he say? Everything. Not that the guy's, you can tell his mood has really slowed down. And when we're talking about these hormones, they are very powerful substances. Anyone ever heard of cortisol? Okay, not cortisone. Your grandparents may go get a shot of cortisone because it's a steroid that when that's injected into a joint, okay, that helps loosen and gives them a little more mobility, so it's not quite as painful. But cortisol, not cortisone, but that cortisol is called a stress hormone. And what it does to a person's metabolism is like taking the volume and turning it down, to where they probably like slow down in his case. So then that's one of the aspects that, well, where you get your exercise or whatever tends to boost your mood. Yeah, maybe yes, maybe no. But everyone here does a good job of staying very active. Yeah, that's certainly going to benefit you in the long run. But what is your opinion on your school lunches? Like, if you feel you don't get enough of your daily nutrients, is it hard to concentrate? Do you get enough is what I'm asking. Okay. So with that, sometimes it's certainly a little more difficult to concentrate maybe for some people. But regardless, like I said, everyone does a pretty good, it's not pretty good, but everyone does an excellent job of staying consistent. That will benefit you in the long run. Tomorrow, okay, some papers for you. If you've not started those vocabs, get those done. They are due, as you can see, on Wednesday. And we'll wrap up the chapter on Wednesday, and we will have your vocab quiz as well on Wednesday. Or excuse me, Thursday. All right. So, if you feel so inclined, you may step out into the hall. I don't think it's too bad in here.